Fellas, Tom Aspinall versus Alex Periera wouldn't even be remotely close. Now, if you're wondering why I'm talking about this, there's been a lot of rumours going around recently that Pereira and Aspinall are going to be facing each other at UFC 300. They've kind of both been hinting at each other on their Instagram stories and on Twitter and things like that. They've kind of just been, throwing away sly hints that they're going to be matching each other up, but I believe that anyone who knows MMA would think that Tom Aspinall is going to absolutely destroy Pereira in a theoretical matchup. Now, I'm not a hater of Pereira. He's one of my favourite fighters, and so is Aspinall. But I just don't think it'd be even competitive. And I'm not trying to say that this is an unpopular opinion. I think this is, a majority of MMA fans do think that Aspinall beats Pereira. But for the people that still have some form of hope in Pereira, it's not going to happen. I just don't see Pereira beating Aspinall. I feel like Aspinall's got everything he takes to win. I'm going to be going over why. I'm going to be breaking down specifically Alex Pereira's strengths, and I'm going to be talking about why I feel like Aspinall is kind of the worst possible matchup in the entirety of the UFC for Alex Pereira. Starting off, like I said, the strengths of Alex Pereira. Now, first of all, he's striking, and you'll see why this ties into Tom Aspinall beating him. But yeah, he's got insane striking. Everyone knows it. That's why he's come so far in the UFC, because he's got nothing when it comes to grappling. So his striking has carried him to 2 belts in the UFC. Obviously outstruck Adesanya. He had this massive glory kickboxing background, and again he beat Adesanya in that as well. He's outstruck people like Jiri Prochazka, Jan Blachowicz, Sean Strickland as well. He's just a really good striker, really good leg kicks. His defense is on point as well, and he's only lost in the UFC's to Adesanya when he was drained at 185. So overall, one of the best strikers in the UFC, definitely pound for pound top 5 best strikers in the UFC. And yeah, that's his main strength, his striking. If it wasn't for his striking, it would even be in MMA, right? Because he's got no grappling to back anything up. Besides the little bit of grappling defense that he's got from Glover Teixeira, which I'll talk about soon. But yeah, Pereira, insane striking. I think we all have to give him that. So that's one strength of Alex Pereira. His main strength is his striking. Now, the next one is his power. Now, I guess you can kind of tie this in with striking, but it's no surprise that Alex Pereira, pound for pound, is one of the hardest hitters in the UFC. In fact, I might go as far to say that Pereira is the pound for pound hardest hitter in the UFC. When he connects with that left hook, he puts people to sleep. He's the first person to ever finish Adesanya in his MMA career. He even knocked him out in kickboxing as well, brutally. Made him need an oxygen tank. But in MMA, first person to ever TKO Adesanya. Obviously knocked out Sean Strickland. Knocked out Jiri Prochazka, who's piecing up Jan Blachowicz on the feet as well. He's a human knockout machine. One of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC. And this is what I've heard a lot of people saying to kind of support Pereira against Aspinall. They've been saying that, listen, Pereira, when he lands against Aspinall, it's done for. And I don't believe that. And I'll talk about why later. We'll try and stay on topic with Pereira's strength right now, but yeah, his power, he's a hard hitter. He hits like a truck, kicks like a truck as well. I mean, we've seen his knees, we've seen his how good he is at using his range with his kicks. And the final strength of Alex Pereira that I've got, the main relevant strength, is his improved grappling. If we go back to Pereira versus Adesanya, the first fight in the UFC, his grappling was terrible. Adesanya looked like a D1 wrestler against Pereira. Pereira, his grappling, he struggled with his grappling in nearly every fight. He struggled especially against Jan Blachowicz, a little bit against Jiri Prochazka, but it's definitely improved. We've seen with his work with Glover Teixeira and as his MMA career's kind of progressed, his grappling's definitely improved. And against a guy like Aspinall, who's an insane grappler, he better be in that. He better be training grappling, 7 days a week for 24 hours a day, because Aspinall is a monster of a grappler. But now we'll talk about why I feel like even with all this grappling and even with all this striking and even with all this power that Alex Pereira has, I don't think it's going to mean anything against Aspinall. I don't think any of this is going to be relevant to Aspinall. I don't think his striking, his power, his improved grappling. I feel like every strength that Alex Pereira has in the UFC, you can just throw it all in the garbage when you're fighting a guy like Aspinall, because I feel like Aspinall is that much of a scary matchup for a guy like Pereira. First of all, let's talk about the striking. Alex Pereira's striking. Tom Aspinall is one of the best strikers in the heavyweight division. We talk about him, he moves like a welterweight, he moves super fast. He does get caught quite often, but he's really, really technical. Am I saying he's necessarily a better striker than Pereira? I'm not saying that, but it's evident in Aspinall's UFC career with him knocking out Pavlovich, and I know that kind of links into power, but he's outstruck pretty much every single opponent in the UFC as Aspinall. He's always had great striking, great boxing. He's always been really fast. So it isn't like Alex Pereira's facing a guy that has to take him down or else he's finished. I think this fight could even be competitive on the feet, right? So that's the first point I'm going to make about striking. It's not like Pereira's absolutely levels above striking against Aspinall, because he's not. Aspinall's still a great striker. The next point, that I'm going to make about Pereira after his striking is his power. Now, I've heard a lot of people, and I know I just said this, that a lot of people are comparing the power, saying that Alex Periera, pound for pound, one of the hardest hitters in the UFC. If he connects with Aspinall, it's over. Am I saying that Pereira's got zero chance of knocking out Tom Aspinall? No. But, I mean, look at the statistics. Aspinall's taller, the reach is practically there, but the main reason is because Aspinall is 270. Alex Pereira's fighting at 205. Alex Periera, a year ago from now, he was fighting middleweights. Aspinall's fighting big heavyweights. There's no way that Aspinall even makes 205. If you think the power of Alex Periera translates from light heavyweight all the way to heavyweight, you've got to be somewhat delusional. I'm not saying he has no power. I'm not saying he's, one of these pillow fists at heavyweight. But if you think the same left hook power translates to heavyweight against these guys that are massive, Aspinall got caught against Sergey Pavlovich and he didn't even get dropped, didn't even get wobbled. And I know I don't really want to use MMA math and say that if this guy couldn't do it to him, then this guy won't. But if Sergey Pavlovich can't do it, how is Pereira going to do it? I don't see how it's a different division. And this isn't just a 10 or 15 pound difference. This is a significant difference between the two weight classes. And when it comes to power, Aspinall hits like a truck as well. I feel like if Aspinall can connect on that, and connect on that chin of Pereira, he 100% has what it takes to knock out Pereira. And I feel like that's a threat on the feet for Pereira as well. It's not like he's safe on the feet like he's in his normal fights. Because of the power and the speed of Aspinall, Aspinall could easily shut his lights out on the feet. Because of just how big Aspinall is and how powerful he is. So that's the first thing I'm debunking, his power, or the second thing I'm debunking is his power. And then finally, his improved grappling. You may as well throw all that out the way against Tom Aspinall. This guy, he's been training jiu-jitsu his entire life, and he is one of the best grapplers and one of the most well-rounded heavyweights in the world. He's not a one-trick pony. We saw him how he just dominated Alexander Volkov on the ground. The submissions he got over Andrei Arlovski. Aspinall is a wizard when it comes to grappling. I'm going to go as far to say that I feel like Aspinall could actually submit Alex Periera. I think if Aspinall was to shoot a double leg takedown or go for initiate a grappling exchange early on in the fight, he would be able to take Alex Periera down and do whatever he wants with him early on in the fight. I don't think he has to spend too much time setting it up. Don't get me wrong, Pereira's improved his grappling a lot with Glover Teixeira, but when you're against a guy as big as Aspinall's training with these massive guys, you look at Aspinall's team, he's training with these heavyweights, guys that are close to 300 pounds. If you think Aspinall would struggle in any way against Alex Periera, who's getting taken down by strikers, you've got to be delusional. I feel like if Aspinall wants, he could just take him down and submit him as soon as he wants. So that's another thing debunked. I feel like every strength that Alex Periera has, it's all going to be irrelevant when he fights Tom Aspinall. I don't think he has a single route that he can go down to win, besides hopefully landing a big shot on Aspinall early on in the fight and trusting that he's got enough power to knock out Tom Aspinall. And my fight prediction is Tom Aspinall by first round submission. And I'm not even just ruling out the fact that Aspinall could knock him out as well. But I feel like if this was to happen, it would be Aspinall taking Pereira down with ease and then eventually finding a submission with all the, all the grappling, all the years of grappling that he's got, all this Brazilian jiu-jitsu background that he's got. And I feel like Aspinall, 100% first round submission against Pereira. I don't even know why it's being talked of as if it's somewhat competitive. I really don't think it is. It is the worst fight in the UFC for Alex Periera. So that's my prediction for the fight. I feel like Tom Aspinall would do whatever he wants with him. Again, I'm not just a Pereira hater. I'm not saying Pereira stands no chance, but heavyweight is a different division to light heavyweight. It's a completely different division. There's so much pounds between them. I know John Jones moved, but he spent 3 years bulking and he had a favourable matchup. Pereira against Aspinall, it's the worst matchup you can possibly have in the UFC. But yeah, that's my opinion on the fight and what I think would happen. So let me know your thoughts on the fight and if it, what you think is going to happen if it does happen at UFC 300. And thank you for watching.